So when it comes to buying your house, you have a lot of options in your financing. You've got as little as putting 3% down, all the way up to putting 20% or more down and going with your traditional mom and dad's conventional financing. I'm here with Nick Pakulla today. He's my recommended lender here in the area. And Nick, the main question that I've got for you is does it make sense to buy a home today with less money down, or does it make sense to save for the next 3-5 years,
Right.
whatever it takes to get me to 20% down
Right.
in order to buy a home? What are the differences in those loans, and what do I need to think about?
Sure. Yeah, I think to answer that across the board is always we can't predict the future. So, but you're making a couple assumptions when you do that analysis. And I think the biggest / easiest assumption to make is how much can I save over the next 1 to 2 to 3 years, and then how much our home value is going to go up over those 1 to 2 to 3 years.
So am I going to buy less in
Right.
3
Like
years than I am now?
A $300,000 house today might be $330,000
Sure.
in 3 or 4 years. So it takes you, 2 years to save up the extra $30,000, but then now the home costs $30,000 more.
Now you're not buying the home
So-
that you wanted to buy.
Right.
Then okay.
So that's definitely one kind of thought process you need to go through. And the other big one that we don't really know is also where our rates headed over the next year to 5 years. And I think pretty much everyone in the industry and Mortgage Bankers Association all predict rates heading back into the 5% range at some point in the future, and then the latest forecasts have them at mid-5s sometime in 2019. Whether that's true or not is not known. But that being said, if you buy something now, let's say with 5% down versus waiting a $300,000 house now with 5% down versus waiting 3 years to buy a $330,000 house with 20% down, you'd want to look at your payment now, and then you would make some assumptions on what the rate would be later. And you actually might find out that even with a lower down payment, your payment's lower now than it could be by waiting.
And is there a generic rule of thumb, like per 1% interest rate? So interest rates, how much money per $100 per $1,000 per whatever? Like, is there a general rule of thumb?
At current 4%, the average is about $50 per 10,000 or $500 per 100,000.
And that rolls in everything? Is that taxes, insurance, everything, or is that just your mortgage?
Yeah,
just
just the loan. You add in taxes and insurance as well. I ballpark for those about $100 a month.
Okay.
Per 100,000. So $100,000 place, $100,000 loan, $500 for the loan piece, and then about $100 for taxes and insurance on top of that. So that'd be $600 a month. A $200,000 place would be $1,200 a month. Now, obviously, if you're putting down a large sum of money, these numbers don't apply.
Sure.
But yeah, I have to run the calculation at a 4% rate versus a 5% rate if you're borrowing $100,000.
Okay. It's obviously different.
But it's definitely different, and almost so much so. An eighth here or there, you're talking like 20, 30, $40 a month. That's not life changing, but
you're talking about 8/8.
But exactly.
1%.
A percent, you're pushing per 100,000. I think you're in the $100 range.
Okay.
Payment wise, and that adds up over time. So there is, where rates are currently, and with home values, the theory, I think most people think that they're continuing their steady increase. You definitely want to run the numbers and be smart about if we do this loan now versus a 20% down loan in 4 years.
So as lenders and as realtors, we obviously want you to buy now. That we make money, we live in our houses, we feed ourselves. But listening to what you're saying, the low down payment now, it alleviates. It does a couple things. It allows you to collect on that interest or in that appreciation that's going to happen over the time that you have the money. It's also going to allow you to lock in what we believe is today's low interest rate compared to what it's going to be in 3 to 5 years from now.
If it's lower, you can always refinance again. It's not like, at least you get into now, where they are currently, and then if in a year or two they're lower, you can always take advantage of that again. It's not like you're
Right.
stuck with your loan from day one. You don't have to keep it
Right.
forever. You can always refinance. So
Right.
you wouldn't miss out on those low interest rates by buying now.
Got it. So buy now, buy later. It's something that it's a conversation that you need to have, and it's numbers that you need to run
Right.
with some generic assumptions that honestly we don't know if they're true or not, but just assumptions that the smart people in the industry are saying this is what's going to happen. This is what we think is going to happen in the future. Correct?
Right.
Awesome. I have one.